Hare Krishna. So, we are continuing second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, contents of the Gita summarized. 28th verse. Last time we had completed 28th verse, and today we'll go to 29th verse. Let me share my screen. Okay, would you like to read, Mataji? 29, 20. What verse was this? 29th verse of second chapter.
Yes, Mataji, I will read Hare Krishna. Am I audible, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Bhagavad Gita 2.29. आशर्वत् पश्यति कश्चिदेन आशर्वद् वदति तथैव चान्यः आशर्वच् चैन्यमन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनं वेद न चैव कश्चित्. Synonyms. Asharvat as amazing, Pashyati sees, Kaschit someone, Enam this soul. Asharvat as amazing, Vadati speaks of, Tatha thus, Eva certainly, Cha also, Anavya another, Asharvat similarly amazing, Cha also, Enam this soul, Anya another, Charnoti hears of, Shrutva hearing, having heard. Api, even Enam, this soul Veda knows, Na, never, Cha, and Eva, certainly, Kashit, someone. Translation. Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. Purport. Since Gita is largely based on the principles of the Upanishads, it is not surprising to also find this passage in Katha Upanishad 1.2.7. Shravaniyapi bahubhiryo na lavya sanavantopi bahavo yamna vidyo आश्चर्यो भक्त कुशलो से लब्धा आश्चर्य सयाद जनत कुशलानुसित शिष्टः. The fact that the atomic soul is with the body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, and also in the microbic germs, millions and billions of which occupy only an inch of space, is certainly very amazing. Men with a poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark of spirit, even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge who imparted lessons even to Brahma, the first living being in the universe. Owing to a gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become both so great and so small. So men look at the soul proper as wonderful either by constitution or by description. Illusioned by the material energy, people are so engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification that they have very little time to understand the question of self-understanding, even though it is a fact that without this self-understanding, all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material miseries. Some people who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures in good association, but sometimes, owing to ignorance, they are misguided by acceptance of the super soul and the atomic soul as one without distinction of magnitude. It is very difficult to find a man who perfectly understands the position of the super soul, the atomic soul, their respective functions and relationship, and all other major and minor details. And it is still more difficult to find a man who has actually derived full benefit from knowledge of the soul and who is able to describe the position of the soul in different aspects. But if somehow or other one is able to understand the subject matter of the soul, then one's life is successful. The easiest process for understanding the subject matter of self, however, is to accept the statements of the Bhagavad Gita spoken by the greatest authority, Lord Krishna, without being deviated by other theories. But it also requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice, either in this life or in the previous ones, before one is able to accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna can, however, be known as such by the causeless mercy of the pure devotee and by no other way. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Okay, so what Lord Krishna is saying here, some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him amazing, so it's something wonderful thing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. So since Gita Upanishad, that's Bhagavad Gita, is based on Gita Upanishad, it appears as a part of Mahabharata. So it's based on the principles of Upanishads. So it is not surprising to also find this passage or a similar passage in Katha Upanishad. What does it mention? Which has similar meaning as this particular verse. The fact that the atomic soul is within the body is a body of a gigantic animal, in the body of a gigantic banyan tree, microbic germs, or any small there are so many living organisms, amoeba and bacteria and all. So in all of them, or in every living body, whether a germ or a big huge animal or human being or demigod, whoever, so that same atomic soul is present in each of those bodies, uh, irrespective of the size or dimensions of the body. Now, men with a poor fund of knowledge, men who are not austere, cannot understand the wonders of individual atomic force. So it's a common layman will think, oh, that's small, this atomic spark, as we have read in the previous chapters, its size is 1 by 10,000 part of the tip of the hair. That small size soul is present in human being, it's present in elephant, it's present in birds, it's present in a small ant, it's present in some microbial germs. How come the same soul is present? Maybe it should have a different size or something, but so it for a common layman, it seems to be something wonderful thing, or something very peculiar thing, that okay, the same soul is present in all these different kinds of creatures or living bodies. Men with a poor fund of knowledge and men who are not austere cannot understand the wonders of the individual atomic spark of spirit, even though it is explained by the greatest authority of knowledge, who imparted lessons even to Brahmaji. That's Lord Krishna has given that knowledge to Brahmaji. So he is himself mentioning in this particular verse, but those who are not very intelligent, in the sense those who are not very much inclined to the spiritual knowledge or understanding from the scriptures, they may not be able to accept it, or they may not be able to understand it. Owing to the gross material conception of things, most men in this age cannot imagine how such a small particle can become both so great and so small. So that's what we discussed, that the same soul is present in the elephant, in an ant, also in a small germ. So it's very inconceivable for them. So men look at the soul proper as wonderful, either by constitution or by description. Illusion by material energy, people are engrossed in subject matters for sense gratification, that they have very little time to understand the question of self-understanding. So practically we see that those who go for book distribution, maybe they will approach 100, means maybe 2 or 3 or maybe 10, 15, depending upon Sometime not even one happens, even if somebody is trying to do book distribution for an hour or so, whereas someday 6 7 10 15 in 1 hour. So it depends. So but practically if we see how much devotees are approaching so many people, but not many are actually able to take it up. They will be like, oh, I don't have time for this, I'm too busy in my work or this and that. So this is just illusioned, this is just illusion. They're all illusioned by the material energy, even though it's a fact that without this self understanding all activities result in ultimate defeat in the struggle for existence. There was an advertisement used to come, I don't know, when I was a child, I think. The father, the mother was on the deathbed, so the son's will paper will be there, no, or something was there. So they made him, they put a big figure there, 1 0 0, so many zeros were there, a very huge figure, and they made their dying father or mother, whoever, to sign on that paper, on that official paper. So they were very happy. So what happened? It was dripping from the ceiling. So a drop of water fell on that one, and it when they wanted to wipe it off, that one was erased. So it were all zeros were there. So our life without like we may have a lot of aristocracy, highly educated, a very high post, we have in a one may be working in a very high post, earning a lot of money, millionaire, billionaire, whatever may be, but it's all considered, as per scriptures, it's all considered big big zeros, a huge line of zeros. There's no one, so it has no value. And what is that one? Krishna. If we don't have Krishna, we may have so many other things, it's all zero, because um, at one point of time it will be all left behind. So why did we struggle for all that all our life? Let's say somebody lives for 70 years, 70 years one struggled for higher education, work, job, and accumulating money, maintaining family, and so many things. What happens at the end? They'll be cremated or will be burnt. That's all over. So uh, I mean, doesn't it seem like a waste of time to struggle for all these things? That's why it's big zeros unless we have Krishna in our life. Perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make a solution to the material miseries. In again in this chapter, I think it previously we have discussed, maybe there is two words, kripana, yeah, I think 2.7 it was mentioned, kripana and brahmana. Kripana is one, a miser who keeps who has no idea of what is the aim of life, what is life meant for, human life meant for. And a brahmana, he's he knows what is the aim of life and he works towards it. That means he knows that one has to practice Krishna consciousness. So kripana is just a miser into sense gratification, all these things, struggle for existence kind of a life, but has no idea about self-realization. So perhaps they have no idea that one must think of the soul and thus make solution to the material miseries. Some people who are inclined to hear about the soul may be attending lectures in good association, but sometimes owing to ignorance, because if ignorance, they are misguided by acceptance of the super soul and atomic soul as one without distinction of magnitude. So this is also one problem. Someone may know that, okay, I'm Atma, I'm not this body, I'm Atma, but they think that Atma and Paramatma are same, they're same. So that is also wrong, because Atma is that individual soul who are the fragmental parts of that super soul. So Paramatma is the plenary expansion of the Lord himself. So There's a difference between the soul and the super soul. And earlier also, many points Prabhupada had mentioned about in the purport he had mentioned about different characteristics of the soul and the super soul, kind of difference between the two, certain characteristics which differentiate between the two. So Prabhupada had mentioned earlier in the purports, super soul and atomic soul are one without distinction of okay, that they wrongly accept this, that super soul and atomic soul are one, but it is not so. It's very difficult to find a man who perfectly understands the position of super soul, atomic soul, respective functions and relationships, and all other major and minor details. It's still more difficult to find a man who has actually derived full benefit from knowledge of the soul and who is able to describe the position of the soul in different aspects. So, not very, no, you'll not find, someone who understands these concepts very well. It's very rare to find someone who actually knows the position of the soul, super soul, the relation between the two, and acts accordingly. But if somehow other one is able to understand subject matter of the soul, then one's life is successful. So when we come to the realization that yes, I'm not actually this body, but I'm spirit soul, and when we actually understand, we'll of course put it into practice 24/7. Then our life can become successful. The easiest process for understanding subject matter of self, however, is to accept the statements in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Lord Himself, so who can be greater than Him? So why not we wholeheartedly accept these instructions, this process, and whatever Krishna is mentioning in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. But it also requires a great deal of penance and sacrifice, either in this life or in the previous life, before one is able to accept Krishna as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna can, however, be known as such by the causeless mercy of the pure devotee, no other way. So, actually, it's not so easy. Manushyanam Sahasresu, 7th chapter is mentioned. Out of many, somebody will be little bit interested in some spiritually inclined, and out of that, even very few, further, very few will be interested in bhakti yoga, and maybe one will actually understand, out of them, one out of many such, one will actually understand Krishna. So it's very rare, and Krishna can, however, be understood by them. Now, there is always a concession. Gurudev mentions this, that he quotes how Prabhupada would say that, okay, somebody asked or something was there, that one cannot become Krishna conscious fully in one lifetime, fully Krishna conscious. At the same time, this uh, this era, golden era of Lord Chaitanya, is a special mercy in which one can become a pure devotee and go back to Godhead in one lifetime. So, and that is possible by the mercy of a pure devotee. Of course, mercy means what? Mercy is always there, but the problem is we have to know how to accept that mercy. Just like um, the clouds, they pour rain on, every place, like on the water also, on the land also, on the, both the places. But the soil on the land also, when the rain falls on land, there are rocks, there are soil. But the rocks, they cannot absorb any water, so it just glides off the surface. But when it falls in the soil will absorb that water, and crops and all will grow nicely. So the mercy of the pure devotees are there, but we should know how to actually take full advantage of that. and it is by following their instructions. So this is how we can actually know, accept Krishna fully as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, we'll go to the next verse. Anyone else? Okay, she left. Yeah, Mataji, do you like to read this as well?
Yes, Mataji, I will read. Bhagavad Gita 2.30. देहि नित्यं वधयोऽयं देहे सर्वस्य भारत तस्मात् सर्वाणि भूतानि न त्वं शोचितुम् अर्हसि. Synonyms: Dehi, the owner of the material body, Nityam, eternally. Vyadhaya, cannot be killed. Ayam, this soul, Dehe, in the body, Sarvasya, of everyone. Bharata, O descendant of Bharata. Tasmat, therefore, Sarvani, all Bhutani, living entities that are born, no, never. Tvam, you, Sochitam, to lament, Arhasi, deserve. Translation: O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. Purport: the Lord now concludes the chapter of instruction on the immutable spirit soul. In describing the immortal soul in various ways, Lord Krishna establishes that the soul is immortal and the body is temporary. Therefore, Arjuna, as a Kshatriya, should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather and teacher Bhishma and Drona will die in the battle. On the authority of Sri Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body, not that there is no such thing as soul, or that living symptoms develop at a certain stage of material maturity resulting from the interaction of chemicals. Though the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged, but, but at the time of war it is not discouraged when there is actual need for it. That need must be justified in terms of the sanction of the Lord and not capriciously. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain. So, again and again, Krishna is mentioning this. Earlier also, he has mentioned about it. So, the spirit soul, there was a verse 23, I think, cannot be cut by any weapons, cannot be withered, and so on. And there was another verse where Krishna mentioned that one who thinks to be slain or is killing or is being killed, so is not having proper understanding, because the soul that cannot be killed. Therefore, you need not grieve for any living being. The Lord now concludes the chapter of instruction on the immutable spirit soul. So, this verse, 30th verse, from 11th verse, he started saying, where initially, first 11th verse, he chastised Arjuna, calling him as a fool, by like he's trying to speak so many learned kind of being. He's speak so many. He gave so many reasons not to fight, as if he's very learned, but one who is actually wise will not lament for the body. So that particular, so like that he chastised there, and then from 12th verse onwards, he's mentioning about the soul. For the details, we saw about the characteristic of soul, difference between the soul and super soul, and so on. Now here he is ending this part of instruction about the spirit soul. In describing the immortal soul in various ways, Lord Krishna establishes that the soul is immortal and the body is temporary. Therefore, Arjuna, as the Kshatriya, should not abandon his duty out of fear that his grandfather, teacher, they will die in the battlefield. So, based on the authority of Lord Krishna, one has to believe that there is a soul different from the material body. Of course, there are certain things we cannot experimentally prove always, and one of the example that Prabhupada gives also is if the child wants to know who is his father, the child has to go and ask the mother. The child cannot try to, the person cannot try to prove it by experimental means. So the son will go to the mother and ask, okay, who is my father? Then the mother will say, okay, he's your father. So based on the authority of the mother, one has to accept, okay, he's my father. So similarly, based on the authority of the scriptures, we have to accept. Of course, Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Lord Himself. So, based on the authority of the Lord, we have to accept the presence of the soul, super soul, and the relation, and so on. Okay, so one has to believe that there is a soul different from material body, not that there is no such thing as soul, or that living symptoms develop. Yeah, just like the material, so-called scientists and all may claim that, okay, these life comes from, certain action reactions, action, certain kind of reactions, chemical reactions, and so on. But they may propose so many theories, but they cannot prove it in the laboratories, which actually shows that, okay, they're just kind of bluffing, and a wise man should understand this. So Prabhupada there's a book by Prabhupada. I think it's based on certain conversations. Life comes from life, which shows that how life doesn't come from dead matter. It's not it doesn't come from some combination of chemicals. Though the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged, but at the time of war, it is not discouraged when there is actual need. So this war was like a religious war. It was not based on whimsically that, okay, I want this kingdom, the other party wants this kingdom. It was a religious war, because the Pandavas, they were on the side of Dharma, and the other side was Duryodhana and his party were on the side of Adharma. So that's why when violence is needed, it has to be, we have to act accordingly. That need must be justified in terms of the sanction of the Lord and not capriciously. Of course, because it was being sanctioned, it was Lord's desire that this, I mean, it was Lord's plan, not exactly a desire, but it was Lord's plan, to vanquish all the burden from the earth, from the surface of the earth. So in the first verse in the purport also, we saw that Duryodhan and his side, they are like the weeds, and they will all be removed um, in this battle. Okay, I'll stop here. Next tomorrow we'll continue from the next verse, 31st verse. Yeah. So, do you have anything, Mataji, to say or to add, or anything regarding these two verses?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Uh, Mataji, my question is, in the verse 2.30, in the purport of the last lines, it is said that though the soul is immortal, violence is not encouraged, but at time of war it is not discouraged, when there is actual need of it. Then Mataji, how can we apply these lines of this verse in this present life? How can we understand that now we have to use this, but the time of war it is not discouraged, violence is not discouraged? How can we understand that now we have to apply violence in this situation of life, or at which stage we should not use violence? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, now in Arjuna's case, if we see the Pandavas, they tried their best to avoid the war. Even Lord Krishna himself was sent as just before the war, he was sent to try to make
Hare
settle.
Krishna Mataji, am I audible?
Okay. Hare Krishna Mataji, I'm sorry I was on mute. I didn't unmute myself, sorry. Yeah, I heard your question. So I was saying that even just before the war, Krishna went on behalf of the Pandavas, on behalf of Yudhishthira Maharaj, to make some peace settlement, instead of the war. But Duryodhan was not agreeable to it, and therefore, I mean, the Pandavas tried their best to avoid the war, to avoid that violence, but Duryodhan's obstinacy, it brought everybody to the battlefield. So now Arjuna's decision to give up the battlefield and just give up the fight is not very proper, because they tried their best, and it is not going to, like, you are in the exam hall and you are just about to give the exam, and out of being afraid, oh, what happens if I fail in the exam, what will happen, in that fear I cannot just give up the exam, run away from the classroom or something. So violence also, so this is a general point of view. Of course, Lord Krishna's plan was that Yudhishthira Maharaj has to be established as the emperor, so that makes us like super solid. I mean, we can conclude that yes, battle has to happen. In our day-to-day life, if we say, yeah, devotee is not very much somebody says something to us or like that, devotee shouldn't mind it much. But if somebody comes to kill, I mean, somebody comes to, some miscreant comes into the house, burglar comes into the house and tries to kill us or something like that, now, of course, in defense, if we have to hit him or something, so that seems to be violence, but that is defense. So in those sense, yes, but otherwise, another example we can take is the Jagai and Madai. Uh, like they were trying to harm Nityanand Prabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so angry that he was about to call his Sudarshan Chakra to kill them. So if some devotee or the Lord is being criticized, is somebody is trying to harm some devotee, then yes, that time we have to very aggressive or very thoughtful, of course, to defend that devotee or to help that devotee, or to that time we can be angry on that person or whoever. Now, at the same time, if somebody criticizes us or says us something, oh, you are like this, like that, you are practicing. Generally, people say, no, oh, you are practicing bhakti, but still you get so much angry, and what kind of bhakti you are practicing? People say like that many times. Today also I was hearing from one Mataji. So if somebody is criticizing us, of course that is not a very good criticism, but if somebody says us something, or you're not doing this, you're not doing something, we don't take it very much angry or something. Oh yeah, I need to improve. We have to take it in a positive way. But somebody criticizes some devotee or the Lord, then one has to be very angry, just like here Arjuna's case we see, and then in Ramayana, Hanuman, his example we can see. So one may argue that, oh, how come Hanuman is devotee and he set fire in Lanka? This is violence. So no, he didn't set fire for his personal purpose or something. Mother Sita was kidnapped by Ravana, so he has to be punished. So he is kind of, Mother Sita is Lord Ram's, so unauthorizedly she was kidnapped. So Hanuman's that anger was valid. in that case. Similarly for us also, like these are few examples to understand how we can do justice to these statements. Uh, did that answer your question? Did I understand your question correctly?
Yes, Mataji, yes. I understood the whole thing. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Okay, so maybe we'll close for now, and tomorrow onwards the Purushottam Mas is coming.
Yes, Mataji, I was thinking of asking that what to do, what is the uh, what is this? I don't know about this. This is first time I have heard. So kindly give some information about this auspicious month. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, yes, this is a kind of extra month in one sense. It comes once in 2 years, 3 years, or something like that. Not every year. Something I don't remember exactly, but it's like an extra month, and it's we should 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is called Purushottam Yoga, the yoga of the Supreme Person. So this month, and again Kartik also will come. So Kartik month, we know it is about Lord Damodar, Damodar Leela. So these months are very special for increasing our devotional activities. Like one can increase one's number of rounds we chant. Fix, let's say somebody is chanting 16, then maybe they can, this 1 month they can increase it to 25, 32, 64, whatever possible. Uh, and if they want, they can continue that. If not, also they can come back to the minimum 16. So that's all right after this month. So, or one can increase one's reading, or some people also will, some devotees take austerities, like having only once prashadam, only one meal in a day, or 2 meals in a day. um, Different kind of austerities one may take. The point is that we give more time to our devotional activities, increase our devotional activities, because these are very auspicious month, this Purushottam Mas, and then Kartik month also. So what we can do now, chanting and all, so that is your personal, everybody's personal thing, how much they can do. Apart from that, maybe because I am also thinking to apply this month, reading of 15th chapter every day, 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, because this name of the month itself is Purushottam Mas, and this chapter specifically, is Purushottam Yoga. So one can do that. I mean, I am thinking to do that as one of my schedule in this month. So apart from that, you can work on your maybe chanting, or your services in temple, or visiting temple, or something. You can personally fix something for this month.
Mataji, one more request. Mataji, can I don't know any association of Matajis in ISKCON Patna. I was searching, but still I don't get that. So, kindly Mataji, if it is possible, if you know anyone, then kindly make me introduced to that. I will be highly obliged for that, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hi Krishna Mataji. Yeah, I will try to find out. I know, I don't know, she's from Bihar or somewhere, but one Mataji, she lives in Pune. Maybe she is from Bihar state only. I will check, however. I will check if I get some contacts from near your place. Then I'll share with you.
Because Mataji, whenever I visit temple, I don't get that. I mean, hope you understand, Mataji. I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel acquaintance. I want to participate more in service to temple, but I don't know how to participate. So for
Mm-hmm.
that, I want that association. I'm not getting that exact person. So, cause I'm not there. Though I follow you very much, Mataji, but I'm not there.
Yeah,
I really regret
physically
that life
also
that I'm not
association is
there.
very important because
Yeah,
that is
it's my impossibility in with my life that I'm here. So kindly for that, make help me, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I'll find out and I'll come back to you about it. Okay, so I think we'll close for now, and tomorrow we'll meet. Sorry, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock today. I will see if it is possible. Because my in-laws have gone for Vrindavan Yatra. If they will come around that time, so maybe I'll become busy in maybe something with them. But if not, then yeah, surely we will have that 8 o'clock discussion. It's not mandatory for you because it is specifically those who are not able to join 4 o'clock. But yeah, you're welcome to join if you are available.
No, Mata, I always want to have association of you, Mataji. Either for 10 minutes also. I feel very much means in association and very much be in bhakti. That's why I always ready for the classes, even for 5 minutes also. So I will join Mataji whenever it is. It will be the class. Hare Krishna.
Jai, thank you so much, Mataji, for seeing your dedication. It's really inspiring. I can understand because my first 2 years or 2 years, I think, I also didn't have any physical association of devotees. 2-3 years of my Krishna consciousness, 2 years probably. So I can understand your feelings. Okay, so thank you so much, Mataji, for your association, for joining, and for the discussion. So we'll close for now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam.